With the US presidential election days away, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump set their sights on one of the biggest prizes, North Carolina. A senior Hezbollah official is abducted in a raid in Lebanon by a suspected team of Israeli naval commandos. And in the UK, the Conservatives appoint a new leader. Kemi Badenoch becomes the first black woman to lead a major political party in Britain.
Good morning. Our headlines today. The new Conservative leader, Kemi Badenoch, prepares to appoint her shadow cabinet after promising to bring change to the party.
The Spanish Prime Minister sends thousands more troops and police officers to Valencia, as many remain missing after the devastating floods that have killed at least 200 people.
In the US, the two presidential candidates race across the key swing states as the campaign reaches its final days.
Let's run you through the front of today's newspapers. List of properties that earns millions for top royals. That's the Sunday Times headline today. The paper's joint investigation with Channel 4 Dispatches programme found that private property portfolios that fund the King and Prince William are reportedly making millions of pounds every year from the rents paid by organisations like the Armed Forces, the NHS and big businesses. Now, a spokesperson for the Duchy of Lancaster said it all complies with all relevant UK legislation.
The Telegraph leads with the new Conservative leader, Kemi Badenoch's comments that it's time for a fresh start following her historic win yesterday. The MP for North West Essex has become the first black woman to lead a major UK political party, as we mentioned a little earlier.
Winning smiles is the headline on The Observer, alongside that picture of Kemi Badenoch as she's congratulated by her husband. That was after beating Robert Jenrick to become the Tory leader. You see Robert Jenrick there on the left.
The Sunday Express has an exclusive report that all RAF pilots have to train in the United States due to a shortage of jets. That's according to defence bosses.
So we've been talking about fireworks, and you might have been to a firework display or whatever this weekend, because it's, midweek, isn't it? Actual bonfire night, so a lot doing it this weekend. But apparently, Christmas coming earlier than ever. More than a million Christmas trees put up this weekend. For Brits, apparently looking for a little bit of cheer. They say nearly half of them say that they're feeling Christmassy earlier than ever before this year. Why
is that? Do you think we just have been longing for...
I think when we change the clocks as well, that might be something.
I don't know. I feel like before bonfire night, it's a no-no. You've got to wait till bonfire night's over before you can move on to Christmas.
I'm on about, like, wait till it's December.
Oh, really?
You have your tree up before December.
No, that's true. That does make sense. But I know some of my friends are listening to Christmassy music already, and I just think,
too soon.
No. Yeah, too soon. But at least you get good use out of it, because it feels a bit pointless to put your tree up and then have to put it back again.
So they say 43% of the people that are putting their trees up this weekend say they would have gone earlier than November the 1st, because they say it's never too early to start enjoying Christmas.
October.
It'll just be...
No, that's ridiculous.
You'll be so fed up with it by Christmas.
Exactly, and that's pretty much a sixth of your whole year being Christmas tree surrounded. Just another story here in the Sunday Express. This, if you're a fan of chocolate cake, which I am, this is potentially bad news because chocolate prices are going up. So the soaring price of cocoa has meant that people are reaching for cheaper ingredients. So get this, look at some of the substitute ingredients being used for cakes. Yuzu, dragon fruit, pistachio, or what's the other one? Miso. Bizarre, isn't it? Yeah, for a cake. But then have you ever had cakes, chocolate cake, where they use substitute ingredients like courgette and beetroot? OK, Ben's face there.
Yeah, but there still needs to be a bit of chocolate in there.
Oh, yeah, that's...
It can't be just an entirely beetroot cake.
You're right. You're right.
Miso?
Oh, I don't know. Have I said that wrong?
No,
I don't know.
I think you said it right.
I don't know if I did. I don't know if I did. Either way, if it's not cocoa or chocolate, I'm not interested.
Not interested.
No. Healthy, though.
Yeah, not a cup of tea. No. One bit.
Angry crowds shout at Spain's king as he tours the area worst hit by this week's flash flooding and landslides. People threw mud at King Felipe and some yelled murderer. 214 people are known to have died.
This is just unprecedented. I mean, people are picking up mud, throwing it at the king. The depth of anger here, fury, is just extraordinary to see.
On her first full day in the job, the Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch tells the BBC her approach to the economy would be completely opposite to Labour's. Both US presidential candidates are out campaigning in swing states with 2 days to polling day.
Thousands of people have been marching through central London to demand action on cleaning up our rivers and seas. Among the demands are for stricter punishments for water companies which break the rules. Some famous faces were also there, as Layla Hayes reports.
Dressed in blue to create a human sea of people, fighting to have their voices heard.
Everyone marching here today wants urgent action to protect our rivers and waterways. And they say unless more is done, the water quality crisis will only get worse.
We're teaching people to be frightened of rivers and not go near them, which is a horrible lesson. We should be teaching children to love rivers.
Do you at some point in the future, if you're lucky enough to grow old, want a younger person to come up and tap you on the knee and ask you what you were doing when it really needed to count? And if you can't say I was doing everything I can, then your conscience is going to be burdened. I don't want to be in that position. That's why I'm standing here today.
What do we want? Clean water. When do we want it? Now.
Clean Up the River Brent wants an end to water pollution and to sewage being pumped into our rivers.
There's been mismanagement for decades, and we really want people to start recognising that these rivers are an asset. Here in London, there is huge defence against climate change, there is huge defence around other environmental issues, and they bring health and well-being to our citizens.
And it's amazing to be here at the heart of London with so many other rivers represented, and that's why today is so important. It's not just us, it's not just London.
Not at all.
It's a clarion call to all the rivers from around the UK, and it's amazing to see so many people, isn't it, Bob?
The government says it has launched the biggest review of the water sector since privatisation. But campaigners here say much more needs to be done to protect our waters for future generations. Layla Hayes, BBC London.
Millions of pounds is to be invested to deliver more public toilets. Transport for London says it'll spend £15 million on upgrading and building new toilets across its network. And it's an important issue for many, as Alice Solfield reports.
For many Londoners, like Billy Nichols, using public transport can be worrying and stressful because it can be difficult to find a toilet.
Having a stoma bag and living with ulcerative colitis means that sometimes it can be quite isolating depending on where you are in your journey. A couple of years ago, I was working in central London and my stoma bag leaked, and from getting on the tube to getting to the station to take me out of London when I lived out of London, there wasn't any toilets on that route, and so I was sort of like holding my stoma bag on my stomach because it's sort of like leaking down my leg on the tube, and that sort of thing can be really stressful.
But TfL wants to change this. It's investing £15 million to make sure passengers are never more than 20 minutes from a toilet without having to change trains.
The work's expected to start within the next year. They'll build new, free-to-use and accessible toilets and refurbish existing ones.
So at this stage, we've identified around about 10 different locations around the network that we're investigating. In some places, we're considering between sort of adjacent stations, but that's only the first phase. After we have done that work over coming years, we'll continue our work to investigate where it makes greatest impact for our customers to put in new facilities.
It's something the London Assembly Green Party leader has been campaigning for years.
They've done a very solid job with this feasibility study. They've really worked out a lot of the practicalities of how you stitch toilets into old stations and that kind of thing. But actually, I think the scale of the problem is that we need more.
There are currently 185 toilets at TfL stations, but it's hoped that adding more will give those with gut and bladder conditions, as well as pregnant, older and disabled people, the confidence to travel wherever they want in London. Alice Solfield, BBC London.
Halloween, Guy Fawkes Night and Diwali have been celebrated this weekend, and today thousands of Sikhs were on the streets of Southall to celebrate the birth of Guru Nanak, the founder of Sikhism. There was free food and drink for absolutely everybody who was out, regardless of their race or religion.